Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Andrew and welcome to the channel. Now on this video I decided to do something different. I'm sure you all seen tier list videos. I know I have. They look like the world of fun. So I decided to get in on that action. And what better topic for my first tier list video than would be ranking the NFL teams going into the new season, the 2021-22 season. Now you see my categories: Super Bowl contender, making the playoffs, might make the playoffs, maybe a few wins, and horrible season. Before we get into the video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at SportsButCasually to keep up with things I do outside of YouTube. Now, all the pleasantries out the way, let's get into ranking these NFL teams. Now, I put everything in alphabetical order because I like some order in my life. And I'll have a list of their key off-season moves on the left side, so I don't have to dive too deep into it. I can just give my thoughts on the upcoming season. Now, let's get started with the first team we have, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this is a very interesting team. They were in a position to make the playoffs last season after getting DeAndre Hopkins, but they lost their last two games and finished 8-8. And they did lose some key pieces in free agency, but they more than made up for it in free agency, bringing in great veterans J.J. Watt, A.J. Green, and Malcolm Butler, but he's kind of retired at the moment. I'm not too sure what's going on there. They also have some promising rookies. I am confident that this team will make the jump next season. I am worried about their secondary, but I still think that the Cardinals can be a playoff team. Let me try to... God. Sorry, I'm using my sister's Mac. And I've never used a Mac before, and it's very annoying how to drag things. Moving right on to the second team, the Atlanta Falcons. Ooh. Yeah, it's not really too hard there. I mean, they lost Julio Jones. They have Kyle Pitts, but they have a horrible defense. Their offense is still going to be good with Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan. And they have two new running backs who are going to be better than what Todd Gurley was able to provide. But that defense is still very young. Lost some pieces on it. Didn't really do much to add to it. So, but with their offense, I do think that they'll still win a couple of games. So I'm going to put the Falcons, maybe a few wins. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, who are another team in a very tough division. So one of the things that kind of led to their downfall last season is that, yeah, they were the best rushing attack in the league, but they were also the worst passing attack in terms of yardage. But they did a great job addressing that, bringing in a couple of wide receivers in free agency and the draft. The defense, I still think, is going to be good, although they did lose Judon. So I'm pretty confident to say, ooh, are they a Super Bowl contender? I think if Lamar could throw the ball more, you know what? Fuck it. Our first Super Bowl contender, the Baltimore Ravens. From one Super Bowl contender to the next, we have the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills, after a breakout season by Josh Allen, he got a big extension. I like what they did in the offseason. I think their biggest weakness was their pass rush, and they certainly addressed that in free agency and the draft. They brought in Emmanuel Sanders, who I think can replace John Brown, although I kind of did like John Brown. But, you know, I'm fairly confident saying that the Buffalo Bills can make it back to the AFC Championship game and maybe to the Super Bowl. So they are my second Super Bowl contenders. Ooh, the Carolina Panthers. They could be pretty good. You know, I'm very confident. I think Sam Darnold is going to have a breakout season. You know, he's surrounded by weapons, has a great running back, and Christian McCaffrey, who should be healthy this season. The defense is concerning. I'm going to put them in maybe a few wins, you know, just to be safe. I don't want to, you know, gas up my expectations of Darnold so soon. Now we have the Chicago Bears. Ooh. All right, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I think that they should start Andy Dalton this season. I'm always a firm believer in resting your rookie quarterback for his rookie season and him learning the playbook. I know some people don't agree with me, and that's fine, you know. We can totally have a healthy discussion about that. But I do think at least they should start Andy Dalton at the beginning and then bring on Justin Fields if your team isn't doing as well as you think. But Andy Dalton is still a good starting quarterback in this league, so he won't fuck up the scene on the Bears. But I don't think they will be as good as last season, so I'm just going to say they might make the playoffs. I'm fairly confident in that. Now we have the Cincinnati Bengals. And, alright, remember these points I just made about resting your rookie quarterback? Okay, so they threw Joe Burrow, who was the #1 pick, out to the Wolves and just got, ran over like a truck in almost every game because they didn't have a good offensive line. He got injured. I think it was like a nasty knee injury, but I think he should be good for the start of the season. And they have a chance to draft Penei Sewell for their left tackle position. They get Jamar Chase, who, that was Burrow's boy in college, and I understand that. But, your quarterback just was running for his life. You have the chance to, show up the offensive line, and you don't. I mean, they did get Riley Reef, but, Penei Sewell was the best left tackle prospect Pro Football Focus ever had. It is what it is, man. The defense, young. They got rid of all of their veterans. The offense has a lot of weapons, but, I still think they're going to have a bad season. They're like 1 or 2 seasons away from really contending again. Now, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns is the Browns, or whatever Baker Mayfield said. No, it was Juju who said that phrase. Corvette. Yeah, so they lost a lot of their starters on the defensive line, but they did address that in free agency and also brought in 2 key players in their secondary to fit right along with is it Denzel Ward? Oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name. I'm not sure how it will be with Odell coming back because we all saw that they were better without Odell than with Odell, but he's one of the best receivers in the league, so I do think they'll find a way to make it work. Not to mention they have that great tandem of running backs. So I'm fairly confident in saying that the Browns will make the playoffs again this season. The Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Ugh. So, Dak is coming back off his injury. They should have a healthy offensive line, although it won't be as good as it was a few seasons ago. But their secondary is still ass. Their defensive line might be kind of trash, but they're getting back Van Der Esch, who at least should show up that defense. I think they might make the playoffs. I mean, it's the NFC West. I mean, it's the NFC East. Anything can happen. They're more or less terrible, all terrible in that division. They might make the playoffs just because they're in that division. The Denver Broncos. All right. The Broncos have a very good team. Offensive line, weapons, defensive line, secondary. They just have horrible quarterback play ever since Peyton retired. I mean, they named Teddy. They traded for Teddy and named him the starter, so maybe he could bring some, decent play. More or less, if Teddy just doesn't mess it up, I'm pretty sure this team can make the playoffs. So my first kind of bold prediction, hot take, is that what I should call it? I think the Denver Broncos can make the playoffs. Detroit Lions, yep, not really going to stick on that. I mean, their best wide receiver is Tyrell Williams. They should have a good offensive line. I know Sewell converted to right tackle and is having a hard time, but should bounce back. The defense, the offense, extremely young. They're in a full rebuild season. Goff could be that guy. If Goff could play well with that receiving core, I mean, they do have Hawkinson, but could certainly raise his value and he could be flipped for some assets next season if he plays well. But yeah, they're going to be bad this season. The Packers, they had that whole debacle with Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. I still think they're Super Bowl contenders just because they have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, their defense is going to be good again. Their offense, I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, and they have Devontae Adams. They got Randall Cobb back. I mean, he's not what he used to be, but I'm sure he still has that magic with Rodgers. So, Green Bay Packers, my 3rd Super Bowl contenders. Houston Texans, let's not stick too long about that. Horrible. I mean, I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to play this season. So you're going to have Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod's my boy. he's going to be a solid quarterback, but, you know, yeah, they're going to have a bad season until Watson is cleared of all of his lawsuits. I don't think that's going to happen this season. So let's move right along to the Indianapolis Colts. So they were dealing with some injuries and some COVID problems coming into the season. Oh. You see, the thing about the Colts is the only competition in the division will be the Titans. I mean, the Texans and the Jags aren't making any noise to me. So I could probably see them making the playoffs. I mean, if you can make the playoffs with a 84-year-old Phillip Rivers, you could probably make it with Carson Wentz if he plays well. So bam, make the playoffs. The Jaguars. Okay, so they have Trevor Lawrence. They also drafted ETN, but he'll be missing this season. They have some weapons, and they sure did use all of their money to help boost up their defense and offense. But I'm still low-key tempted to put them in a horrible season. I mean, they do have a college head coach. I'm not sure how well. I mean, he's a great coach for college, but I'm not sure how he'll transition to the NFL. But I think I can't put them in a horrible season because, at least on paper, to me, their roster is a lot better than these three teams. So I will put them in maybe a few wins. Kansas City Chiefs, yep, don't really have to stick too long on that. I mean, they got blasted in the Super Bowl because, you know, I think their starting left tackles had injuries or something. But they certainly addressed that in free agency, got a lot of offensive line help. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I think 10 years, a good $1 billion. Easy Super Bowl contenders. Won't be surprised if they made it back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Las Vegas Raiders. Ooh, I'm a big fan of Derek Carr. I mean, he kind of has the short end of the stick there in Las Vegas. I almost call them Oakland. They're always going to be Oakland Raiders, to me, at least in my mind. They did get rid of everybody on their offensive line, so I am worried about that. And their defense was horrible, and they didn't really do too much to me to make it much better going into this season. And with a new offensive line, could be tricky, but no, I'm not really feeling the Raiders this season. I mean, you can come back to this if they make the playoffs and prove me wrong, but I don't like what they did in free agency, and with a new offensive line, especially when you rely so much on Josh Jacobs to be in your running game, new offensive line that could lead to disasters on offense, and their defense ain't really good, so maybe a few wins. The Los Angeles Chargers, I mean, I think the problem was last season that they were just blowing leads, or like they either blowing leads or they couldn't hold on to leads, one of the two. But with Anthony Lynn gone and their new head coach, and I mean, Justin Herbert did have an amazing rookie QB campaign. I could go out on a limb and say they make the playoffs. But their defense, to me, are still kind of shaky, although their offense would be great. So, I am more high on the Broncos than I am on the Chargers. So, I'm going to put the Chargers and might make the playoffs. Everybody happy? Probably not. The Los Angeles Rams, another contender for... another Super Bowl contender, sorry. I mean, they traded for Matthew Stafford. They still have a great offensive line. Great wide receivers, but their defense, although they do have Donald and Ramsey, they did lose two starters who played, I think, the most snaps on defense. John Johnson and Troy Hill, I think. I could be butchering the first guy's name. And they also lost some other depth players on their defense that played good roles. You know, it'll be weird. Matthew Stafford's in a new area where he, you know, has an opportunity to win big. I'm not sure if I don't believe in him or if I just hate the Rams because, I mean, come on. My gut's just telling me that, like, nah, I think they're going to trip over the last hurdle. I think those the losses on defense might be a little bigger than, you know, we were all thinking. The Rams are making the playoffs. You know, you could argue with me, but it is what it is. The Dolphins. So the Dolphins have been in talks trying to get Deshaun Watson for like what, the last 4 months. But then I think their coach came out and said, "Oh, Tua's still our guy," and like, why wouldn't he not be? He just had a up and down rookie season, and they did go out in free agency and get him some help and try to adjust the defense. But I do think losing Kyle Van Noy would be pretty big for them. And also, I think their division is pretty tough with the Bills and the Patriots. I'm a little more high on those two teams than I am on the Dolphins. So I'm going to say the Dolphins might make the playoffs. They do have the outside chance, and I won't be surprised if they do, but ooh, the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, the Vikings had one of the low-key better off seasons for me. They made sure to show up their secondary, and I do think that with Jefferson and you have Thielen, not to mention Dalvin Cook, that if Kirk Cousins doesn't just fuck it up, which he is prone to do, I must say, they could make the playoffs, you know, and with that, I will have them making the playoffs. I think the situation is too good for Kirk Cousins to mess it up. I think the defense got better. New England Patriots, the team that signed almost all the good free agents by themselves. So they're going to be starting Mac Jones. I mean, I think Belichick, Belichick had enough confidence in Jones to cut Cam Newton. I thought Newton would have been the starter, but he has weapons now. He has a good offensive line, 2 great tight ends, and they'll be getting back a lot of players on defense who opted out of the season last season, like Dante Hightower. So, although it pains me to say it because I don't like the Patriots, they're going to make the playoffs. Not contenders, but they'll make the playoffs. The New Orleans Saints. Okay. Full disclosure, I thought the Saints would have won the Super Bowl last season. Very disappointed they didn't. They had a great defense, great offense. Anyway, without Drew Brees and with Jameis Winston, it is a big step back. Although I think they're in better hands with Jameis Winston than they are with Taysom Hill. And I can't believe I just said that sentence. But, lost a lot of key players on offense and defense. And, Mike Thomas won't be there for the first few weeks, and he's beefing with the coach. So, I don't think they make the playoffs this season. Maybe a few wins. Ooh, the New York Giants, a.k.a. Daniel Jones, make it or break it. Yeah, the front office went out, got him a lot of help on offense and defense. I mean, they had a great defense last season. So, this season it really is all about Daniel Jones and how he performs. Saquon would be back. He has great weapons to throw to. The defense is still going to be good. Does this team win the division? I don't know. But, considering it is the NFC East, anything is possible. So, I think that, I think they might make the playoffs. I don't really like Daniel Jones, so I don't think he'll step up to the plate that much, but you never know. Ooh, the New York Jets. So the Jets did have a good offseason, and they had their quarterback Zach Wilson and did get him a lot of help. But I don't think they'll be that good this season. Their roster, top to bottom, they still needs a lot of rebuilding and adding in players, but they do have at least a semblance of a core of who they'll be going with for the next few seasons. But I think this season will be rough for them. So I think it's going to be pretty horrible. The Philadelphia Eagles. So starting Jalen Hurts. They just cut their leading receiver from last season. The offensive line, a lot to be desired. And the defenses, besides the defensive line, secondaries leaves a lot to be desired. Another hot take, I guess. The Eagles are going to have a horrible season. Go there. Yes. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Ooh. Okay. So they went out and got a running back. They also lost, literally every single person that started on their offensive line last season. And Big Ben, I do think he's going to take a step down this season. I mean, you're 36. I actually have no idea how old he is. I just thought that would be funny. However, the only thing that's saving them is that their defense got even better. I mean, they added Joe Schobert, I mean, for like, what, a 6th-round pick, and he was one of the better linebackers in the league last season. But the offense still going to be a lot to be desired. So they're going to leave a lot on the table. They might make it, only because that defense is going to be fantastic. Go 49ers. Okay, so they're going to be getting a lot of players back from injury. And they're going to have a very good offense. They have a great offensive line, great running back, and even with Jimmy G as your starter, still a high-power offense. What concerns me, though, is the defense on this team. They lost a lot of starters on the secondary. Ooh, you know, I know Trey Lance could come in if Jimmy G is struggling and make some magic. However, not too sure if I have the 40. You know what? One of these teams has to finish last in this division. Hot take number, I lost count. 49ers might miss the playoffs. Okay, the Seattle Seahawks. Alright, so we didn't do much to address the offensive line as per usual. And our secondary is probably going to be ass again. But we do have playmakers on each level of defense. And our offense is going to be very good despite the offensive line woes. We have Chris Carson, a lot of weapons to throw to, and Lockett, Metcalf, and gosh, what is that rookie's name I'm forgetting? And we have one of the better quarterbacks in the league in Russell Wilson. Maybe let Russ cook is a thing this year. Let's hope so. I still think, you know, with Russell Wilson, we're probably going to make the playoffs. I'm very confident about that. So, we're going to be making the playoffs. Call me biased. I do not care. Anyway, the last year's champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's put you into the Super Bowl contenders. Until Tom Brady plays horrible for an entire season, I'll never think that he's not the best quarterback in the league. So, and they also really didn't lose too much to free agency. So, they're basically running it back with majority of the same roster. So, yeah, Super Bowl contenders. It's pretty simple. Ooh, the Tennessee Titans. So, they made a big trade in getting Julio Jones. So, you have him, A.J. Brown, you have Ryan Tannehill, and Derrick Henry. Explosive offense. However, that defense was horrible last season, and it only got worse coming into this season. Unless some unexpected guy takes, a huge step in the secondary, I don't think they will be able to cover corps. I mean, neither can we, but still. That is my only concern for this team. A lot of these teams actually, you know, high power offense with, you know, garbage defenses. But, you know, I want to put the Titans in Super Bowl contenders, but that defense does scare me. And, you know, all the contenders we have up there are well-balanced teams. So, they will at least make the playoffs. Last but not least, the Washington football team. Okay, so they got Fitzpatrick as their quarterback. And they did get him some weapons to throw to. However, the defense was great last season and probably the main reason why they made the playoffs. But they did lose a lot of players on that defense. So, and I really don't want to be putting my faith in Ryan Fitzpatrick to lead a team to the playoffs. Ooh, but one of these teams have to. Who? I can't have none of them make the playoffs. So, okay, guys, making a change in the list. Finally, I'm going to add the football team might make the playoffs, and who I think will win that division would be the Giants. Now, let me explain. When I look at their rosters, top to bottom, in each separate positions, I do think that the Giants, at least on paper, have the better roster than the football team. It's just that if Daniel Jones doesn't fuck it up, and even if he is messing it up, you could just hand it off to Saquon Barkley. Well, guys, that is the end of this video and my first tier list video. I know they all are going to disagree with probably a lot of things I say, and that is okay. We are people with differing opinions. Let me know who you would put in which tier and why in the comments below. Don't forget, as always, like, share and subscribe, and I shall see you guys for the next video. Take care.